The Star Trek mythos is famous for its optimistic vision of the future, whereas other works of science fiction show us marching towards a haunting dystopia or retaining many of our present problems for centuries to come. Star Trek stands out as a work of science fiction which definitively states the future will be better and brighter than the present we live in, and the human race will move beyond prejudice, poverty, and war. The future depicted in Star Trek is nothing short of a utopia. Now, utopia means different things to different people in practice, but what I mean to say is that Star Trek's future seems to be free of all of our modern-day problems. People live happy, healthy, and fulfilling lives, society is egalitarian, and the world is full of remarkable advanced technology which can be used without risking damage to the environment. A world free of all our current problems would seem to fit the literal definition of utopia. This is why the following question might seem strange. When we live in a utopia, what comes next?
People are no longer obsessed with the accumulation of things. We have eliminated hunger, want, the need for possessions. We've grown out of our infancy.
If we run with this metaphor from Picard, that human civilization of the past was childlike in its irresponsibility, then human civilization of the 24th century has fully matured into an adult form, ideally secure and prosperous, ready to foster the next generation. If we think of the concept of utopia in this way, then that would suggest that the future civilization seen in Star Trek is the apex of the human race. We've 100% completed being a civilization. All of our problems have been eliminated and now we can just sit back and enjoy life until further notice. This conception of utopia runs throughout the original series and the Next Generation. Many stories in both shows feature Kirk and Co. or Picard et al. Teaching life lessons to a less developed society. These are episodes like A Taste of Armageddon or Symbiosis, where an alien society has a problem resembling something in our world, which is fixed by the more enlightened future humans. Or there's the danger of this future utopia slipping back into barbarism in episodes like Errand of Mercy. Even when encountering godlike alien entities, these entities often behave more like spoiled children. Then there's Q, who sets tests for humanity, which they usually pass. Even in episodes like Hyde and Q, enlightened humans demonstrate their wisdom to know when to refrain from too much power. The greatest dangers posed to this utopia either come from the past, in episodes like The Drumhead, which echo McCarthyism and the Red Scare, or they come from outside forces which threaten the Federation. Originally, the TNG episode Conspiracy was meant to reveal Starfleet's Admiralty as corrupt, but this was nixed by Roddenberry, who insisted Starfleet never be portrayed in a negative light. Indeed, Roddenberry's conception of Star Trek's future is utopian to the extreme. In his novelization of Star Trek the Motion Picture, humanity is said to exist almost in a form of collective consciousness, and has become so agreeable and harmonious that the so-called less advanced humans of Starfleet are needed to protect a paradise like Earth. This is a vision of utopia so extreme that at times it verges on puritanical. Allegedly during the making of the TNG episode The Bonding, Roddenberry stated that in the 24th century, children have been taught to deal with death from a young age, so Jeremy Astor wouldn't be so distraught over losing his mother. I don't know about you, but I find that idea more disturbing than optimistic. Roddenberry's utopia is so absolute that according to TOS and TNG, the only place for humanity to go is into the realm of the metaphysical.
That is the exploration that awaits you. Not mapping stars and studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
Over the years, it seems many fans as well as some cast and crew members have taken Roddenberry's vision to heart. Any deviation from this wholly optimistic and conflict-free vision of the future is seen by many as inherently anti-Star Trek. In an interview with If magazine, George Takei once said Deep Space Nine was the polar opposite of Roddenberry's vision, and more recently Discovery and Picard received vocal backlash for their darker tone and graphic content. Even Discovery's third and fourth season Status Quo, which sees the main characters fighting to rebuild a fractured Federation, seems to suggest that the Federation itself was the height of civilization. The only place for it to go was to fall apart, so it could one day be put back together again. However, thinking about utopia in this way can be very limiting and often prompts a rather cynical response. Many people believe that utopia is flat out impossible. This was reflected in my community tab when I announced this video. One user in particular stated outright that utopia is a lie. While I'm generally an optimistic person, I can sympathize with this cynicism. The problems of our modern world can often seem so insurmountable, especially when we're deluged by negative news on a daily basis. How could we ever hope to achieve a utopia when there's so much wrong with the world? In reacting to utopia this way, and Star Trek's future in particular, this kind of cynicism has led some publications to paint Star Trek's future as secretly dystopian rather than utopian. In a way, these kinds of videos echo Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Sure, this world may seem perfect, but scratch the surface and there's a dark, soul-crushing truth underpinning it all. However, these kinds of reactions rest on conceiving of utopia as the end point of civilization, an impossible goal which will forever lie out of our reach. However, we can alter our conception of what a utopia is to better reflect the world we actually live in and pave the way for a brighter future like the one seen in Star Trek. In the book Utopia for Realists by Rutger Bregman, he points out that if we were to travel back in time to the medieval era and ask the average peasant to imagine utopia, they would probably paint a picture of a world very much like our own. Things we take for granted, like heated homes with running water, weren't even available to the kings of the Middle Ages. Every major concern to a medieval peasant, every societal ill in their day, has essentially been remedied or outright fixed in today's world. We also possess technologies which a medieval peasant could only dream of as magic. Sure, we have plenty of problems in today's world, but try explaining the issues of an ad-based internet economy to a peasant after handing them an instant worldwide communication device. This point is articulated very well not by Star Trek, but in Babylon 5.
I think we lost interest in the future when all the things we were told were coming finally got here. It wasn't what we thought it was going to be. It's like when you keep bugging your folks for that one special toy for Christmas, and when you finally get it, it's not as great as the vids made it look. It just doesn't run right.
Maybe somebody should have labeled the future "Some Assembly Required."
Star Trek's future is a utopia to us, but not for the people living in it. A world without poverty, disease, or war seems miraculous, even impossible, but that's just life for the average Federation citizen. They expect faster-than-light travel and matter-energy replicators the same way we expect running water and the internet. The book Utopia for Realists opens with an apt quote from Oscar Wilde which says, "A map of the world which does not include utopia is not worth even glancing at, for it leaves out the one country at which humanity is always landing. And when humanity lands there, it looks out and, seeing a better country, sets sail. Progress is the realization of utopias." Maybe George Takei was right, because it seems Deep Space Nine conceives of utopia differently to Gene Roddenberry. Consciously or not, DS9 adopts Wilde's perspective on utopia. Star Trek's future is truly amazing, built by many monumental achievements of a united and prosperous human race. But that's only our perspective, one facilitated by the episodic morality tales featuring the Starship Enterprise. But for the people who aren't gallivanting off to a new planet every week, for the people who have to stay in one place and live life, the Federation isn't perfect. This bright future still has some problems, and these are problems which don't stem from the resurgence of an old regressive idea or from an outside alien threat. Ironically, the problems shown in DS9 stem from those who conceive of the Federation the way Roddenberry conceived of Utopia. Admiral Layton and Section 31 both see Utopia as an absolute. Nothing should ever threaten it or change it, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to preserve paradise. The Federation's record isn't squeaky clean either. The biggest blotch is their handling of the Maquis.
Open your eyes, Captain. Why is the Federation so obsessed with the Maquis? Because we've left the Federation, and that's the one thing you can't accept. Nobody leaves paradise. Everyone should want to be in the Federation. Hell, you even want the Cardassians to join.
Did I mention Deep Space Nine is the best Star Trek show? The point of arcs like this is not to tear down the image of an optimistic future, but to show that utopia is an ongoing process. Once we've conquered the problems of our modern world, we shouldn't just sit back and stagnate. There will always be new problems to solve and new horizons to explore.
We are constantly searching, not just for answers to our questions, but for new questions.
That's not to say nothing will ever change, in fact, quite the opposite. The world has changed and is changing all the time. We just don't notice it usually.
It's life, Jake. You can miss it if you don't open your eyes.
Utopia isn't a lie, we just tend to think of it the wrong way. Don't think of utopia as the end. Instead, think of utopia as a map which shows us the way forward.
What is it that you're trying to tell me?
You'll find out. In any case, I'll be watching. See you out there.
Thank you for watching, everybody, and Happy New Year! If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, it is a big help. If you'd like to stay up to date on new uploads, hit the subscribe button and bell icon as well. And if you'd like to see videos early, uncut, and ad-free, as well as exclusive video essays and commentaries, jump over to my Patreon page, which you can find by following the link below. Speaking of which, I'd like to say thank you to all of my patrons and members who are currently scrolling by, with an ultra thanks to Charles Borsum, Olivia Computer, Bano, Dent the Air, Extreme Streamers, Tom, Dusk, Colin Camille, Patrick Fleming, Matthew Camille, Ed Mark Starr, Dylan Thomas, Lilac Yane, Howard Craig Akervik, and Caging G. Have a good one, guys, and as always, live long and prosper.